All right, hey everybody, Jonathan White back again with week 4, this time a demonstration speech. First I'll go ahead and introduce my audience member, my wife, Alanis. Go ahead and wave at the camera. There it is. Okay, so Christmas is next week. Holy cow, really snuck up on us this year. For the demonstration speech, I've chosen to demonstrate wrapping a Christmas gift. I haven't wrapped any yet this year, other than the one you see right here in front of you. And so this will be part of that process this year with how fast it came up and just how fast everything keeps moving for us. There's a lot of stress that goes into this, or excuse me, there's a lot of stress that comes with some of these things. And again, the Christmas season and the hustle and bustle and all the craziness. It doesn't always have to be that way, but what I find is detail-oriented tasks tend to relieve some stress, and that's just a personal thing. There's not necessarily any science behind that. But this time of year, this is a great detail-oriented task to help relieve some of the stress that can actually be brought on by the commercialized Christmas season. So, that being said, let's have some fun. Let's wrap this gift, and then again, like I said, relieve some stress, because the anticipation also of unwrapping a gift on Christmas starts with the wrapping itself and the joy of seeing, or the anticipation of seeing joy on our loved one's face as well. So first, let's talk about the tools of the trade, so to speak. We have the present paper, not wrapping paper anymore. My 5-year-old son called it present paper the other day, so that is now what it's called in my house. And then we have scissors, just regular scissors, and then the tape that we're going to be using, as well as different decoration. So you have ribbon. This is the ribbon that we'll actually be using for this demonstration. With the paper, there's all sorts of different kinds of paper you can use. Some people even use just regular newspaper, but you can buy that at any department store. And then there's also the prank wrappings where people like to grab a box and wrap it in 7 rolls of duct tape and see how long it takes somebody to unwrap it. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure my wife did that to me a few years back, which again, the anticipation is how are you going to get things unwrapped, and so that's half the fun, right? The other thing is that, now that we know the materials, let's go ahead and talk about the different packaging. So here you see a box that is a perfectly square box, and this one is another square box. This will be the gift we're wrapping here. That doesn't always come in a perfect square. A lot of times we have oblong type shapes, or certain triangles, or open-faced boxes where the gift is exposed, or even circle packaging. So half the fun of wrapping is getting to figure out how you're going to get that wrapped in the first place. So, and then guessing the presents as they're under the tree, completely wrapped up. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started. We have right here a pre-cut piece of present paper. The first step would be normally to measure out the gift on the present paper itself. So we would want to put it on there and find the most appropriate place that we would feel. Again, this is about preference on what you think is the best. It's not an exact science. You can get a ruler out if you so choose. So I have already measured this paper here, and we will go ahead. I always put the gift face down so that way the top is we're going to call the clean side. So now that we have it measured, the first step here is going to be taping the present paper to the gift so that it doesn't move. And when we do that, we want to keep the sides here, you can see right here, we want to keep these sides flush to the gift and keep the present paper as tight as possible. And we'll just maintain the shape of the box. So as my wife alluded to before, sometimes people have the tendency to use the rest of this tape to brag or to be excited about not using very much tape. A lot of times I like to use a lot of tape because I'm more proud of how my present looks at the end of it than I am necessarily about how little materials it took me to use it. So here, this present paper, a little bit more tape. This present paper hasn't been perfectly measured out, but that's okay because we're going to go ahead and put this green ribbon that I showed you before on here, and that'll be all right. All right, now we have this present paper taped to the box, and the Next step is we're going to talk about these edges or the corners of the boxes. And there's all sorts of different ways you can do that. Some people have squares, some people use triangles and do those different things. And sometimes, like I said, with the boxes, different shapes, the decision is made for you. In this case, we have a perfectly square box, so it is a little bit easier. So the first thing I would do, or that I like to do, is I take these inside here, and I'm going to actually pick it up and I'll show you. We're going to fold it in, and we're just going to tape it down like that, and that allows us to get a really good crease right here. We're going to do the same thing on this side. You don't need a whole lot of tape for this. Probably just one on each side just to keep it tight. So you can see we can get some nice creases in there. And then in order to get the good creases on the other side, we'll fold it this way. And we'll actually, now we can stand the box up, giving us a good flat workspace here to do it. So we'll take a piece of tape here. Give me just a second, we'll pull this down. And here we go. All right. So now we have some good creases in there. All right, and we still have, we'll just go ahead and we'll just finish up this side while we're here. And it looks as if we're just maybe a little shy. So I said half the fun is getting to figure this part out, right? We're gonna go ahead and tape that down just like that, just because we're a little bit thin on this piece of paper here. And again, not uber serious, and if you so choose, you can go ahead and find another way to cover that up. So then we'll finish up this other side over here. And this one, I'm actually going to tape inside like this. And sometimes it just varies based on how this present comes in here like this. All right. Excellent. So, see, this one turned out much better. Just tape the corners on this side here like this. Yep, all right, good to go. All right, so now we have a wrapped gift. And for this, and for the sake of this gift, I'm probably just gonna leave this open because my younger son is going to just tear this off and probably have more fun with the paper anyway. So than he is with the actual gift that's inside, and he's gonna be really mad when we have to get rid of the paper later. All right, so let's talk about the ribbon. And the ribbon that we have here, we have this green ribbon to match the silver paper. And so what we're actually going to do is we're going to wrap this around. So again, I like to keep the flush side on top so that it looks nice. And we're going to use the word pretty, I think, is the best word to describe it. And in order to get that wrapped around, so like I said, it's not measured perfectly, but we're going to use a ribbon to cover that. We're just going to tape it to the one side. We're going to come around just like that. Okay, so we keep it nice and straight. And this time, now we have it straight, and you just kind of pull on it a little bit, just like that. Like you see here, you just pull on a little bit, and that ribbon's going to come around like that. And we're just going to tape it back down. We have this excess that we can cut off, just like that. And now we have that one on there. Oh, look, and see, so we're a little bit off. And then again, if you choose and you want to keep that, which I choose to right now, we're going to go ahead and tape that down. Now it doesn't move again. So for this one, we're going to flip it back over. We're going to start in the same spot right in the middle of the box. And we're going to finish that tape just like this. And then we're going to do the exact same thing and flip that back over just like that. All right, so just a little bit. Here we go with it. So this is the part where I say, oh, it's got to be perfect and we got to have this perfection. It's not always necessary, and you don't always have to have that. Like I said, it's a matter of personal preference, and you really just can have a lot of fun when you do it, because if you get stressed out about it, it doesn't really relieve the stress that you started with. So with that, we'll take a couple of red and green pieces. We're just going to go ahead and push them through. While we're talking about that, let's go ahead and start talking about the biblical perspective here. So I was reading the Bible to actually find this stuff, and in the Bible, in the gospel itself, it actually mentions the word wrap. In the Gospels, the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, 12 times. 3 of those times come in Luke. The first 2 are in chapter 2, verses 2 and 7, and they actually are in reference to Jesus being wrapped in swaddling clothes as he comes into the world to be the light, to be our salvation. And I'm going to leave that like that for now, because it's just kind of like a little halfway bow. And I just like the way that it looks. So it mentions Jesus being wrapped in swaddling clothes, and then again in Luke chapter 23 verse 53, it actually says that he was wrapped when he entered the tomb. In Romans 6:23, it actually talks about Jesus being the gift. So Jesus was wrapped as the gift, the joy of salvation, he is the reason for the joy and the peace that we receive in the Christmas season. Again, guys, I encourage you to go out. I want to thank you for watching the video. I hope that this is good. And for any questions on my biblical perspective, I'll go ahead and post that in there as well with the video, and shoot those questions over, and I would love to discuss it further. Have a great one. God bless, and Merry Christmas to all of you.